Hello, and welcome to our sort of first ever live announcement event. And the first 50 seconds of this are going to be fascinating because what we're going to do is we are going to wait for everyone to join the call. I'm afraid that's just what it's like in this era. But what I just saw, Sam, is that you've got a Dragonfly editing mug. That is cool.
Oh, I do. Yeah, our operations coordinator, Andy, made these for us this year. She made them with her own little hands using I don't know, something in a makerspace that's free in our area.
I was so sure I was going to impress you with the mug that I brought. This is my grandmother's. It is 1066 to 1966,
Oh,
celebrating all of that stuff. I was
I
going to show you
love
that, and of all things, I am beaten on the mug choice.
No, no, no. I give you full credits for your mug.
It's also ridiculously large. Just the sheer size of this thing, that's good 2 cups.
I'm gonna argue if you had to have like a coffee mug that's too small or too big, you definitely need the coffee mug that's too big. So I think you're in good shape.
But
Or in the
people probably didn't join this call to hear about my tea selections. It's possible, but they probably didn't. We should probably get started. So
Yep.
first thing, I just want to say thank you, Sam. It's amazing to have you here at this event. For those that don't know, you've seen it on the mug now, but Sam is the owner of Dragonfly Editorial. She wrote some of the best blogs that we have on the intelligent editing site, and her work on AI has really sort of been leading in the editing community. Presented for ACES at least a couple of times, and not just sort of a hot take, but has been giving sort of progress and how the technology is changing. So thank you for joining us.
I am super excited to be here. So yeah, I mean, Daniel, it was easy for me to say yes to this because we've been using PerfectIt for years at Dragonfly. I mean, I used it personally as an editor, and then we use it at Dragonfly now. It helps us catch all kinds of mistakes. We create style sheets, custom style sheets for our customers. It really helps us with our work. So I am super excited to hear about what is the big news about PerfectIt. So tell me all about it.
So the big news, we've gathered everyone. We've been looking a lot at AI, and the big news with PerfectIt is that nothing's changing. I'm not
Okay.
kidding. We really did think about that.
This is that emoji face where it's like, okay,
That's
okay,
fair. That's fair.
continue.
But I will explain that. We did look a lot at what's happening in AI, and the things that stand out about PerfectIt that it doesn't connect to the internet. The Windows edition doesn't connect to the internet.
True.
It doesn't use those kind of technologies. Actually makes it an ideal choice for a lot of situations where people are looking at this technology, wondering about this technology. We think it really makes it stand out. And in terms of workflows, what PerfectIt does is all really still relevant, because even if you have AI prepare something for you, there's still questions about consistency the minute people start editing it as well. So I think it's really relevant today, and it's not changing.
Well, okay. So on the one hand, that's awesome because we PerfectIt and it does what it's supposed to do. But I also assumed that you didn't ask me to come here today just to be like, the big news is nothing's changing. So what is going on? What is new?
So the real news is that we have our first product launch since PerfectIt. This is, PerfectIt launched in 2009, so we're talking about 14, almost 15 years, and we're launching Draftsmith. And Draftsmith is an AI writing refiner, so bringing something completely new and something completely different to the writing editing community.
Okay, so Draftsmith. This is the name of it, and you said it is a writing refiner. Tell me what that means.
Fair. Okay, so by calling it a writing refiner, what we're doing is looking at a different part of the document production process.
Okay.
So when we did look at how AI is changing the space, what you see is that there are a lot of tools for first drafts. So everything from ChatGPT through to what's coming with Microsoft Copilot, lots of tools that will create a first draft and get you started. And they've always been
for blogs. Yeah, there's tons of stuff.
Exactly. And there's always been sort of lots of stuff for polishing stages, like copy editing. PerfectIt is one of those tools. AI has existed for a long time in that space. But there's not a lot, when you look at the sort of full document production workflow, there's not a lot for in between that first draft and that final copy, edit, polish. And there's a lot of work that happens in between those 2 points. So if we think reviewing, redrafting, revising, if you do proposals, then it's kind of the proposal development stage.
Yeah.
And AI just can't do that work for you. And I don't think it ever will. So our question was kind of different. Our question was, can AI help people who are in those stages? Can it help them work faster, better by helping on kind of writing and editing decisions, making it easier for people?
Okay. So this is interesting. So when I think about this, and you're right, in our work, there are often a lot of revisions between when something is written for the first time and when the copy editing happens. There's often lots of revisions and reviews and stages in between. One of the things that I think of in the middle there is substantive editing, which is really looking at the whole meaning and logic and structure of a piece. But surely that can't be what you're talking about that Draftsmith does.
That is exactly right. So if we were to approach sort of substantive editing, then that would be the AI doing it for you. And I just don't think, I know it would do a terrible, terrible job.
Yeah, that's what I was like. There's no way it can do that.
So instead, the idea is that it puts the user in control, and it does that by working at the sentence level.
Okay.
So if you make sentence level suggestions, you're much more granular. And we think that's what makes it kind of a tool for both writers and for editors. So I guess, from your side, you do more on the editing side, but I know you do writing too. From an editor's perspective, this might not be a tool for every project the way PerfectIt is, but it would certainly be for certain types of editing work. So we thought in particular, if you're working with multiliterate authors, one editor described to me that they come across work where it's the edits that make them sweat. And I love that description. Often editors are not working with word count restrictions, but sometimes editors are given that job. It surprised me, but certainly people have told me that they are responsible for bringing a word count down, and lots of sort of technical, taking technical documents, medical documents, scientific documents, anything that's really complicated and making it simple can certainly be within kind of the editor's role. So what it does is it works at the sentence level, and it offers sentence level rewriting ideas that can help with those tasks. And when it does so in a way that's sort of completely seamlessly integrated with Microsoft Word. So we spent a lot of time thinking how to make that work, how to make that smooth. When you're working with editors, they work very fast. So you've got to design something that works really, really quickly to improve on it. And you definitely can't have sort of copy and paste into another window or another app, because that's all going to slow it down. So everything completely seamless in Microsoft Word.
Well, that's what, maybe you can show me that, because that's how anything that you're describing, that's how what I've had to do in the past is if I want a recommendation on how to rework something, I have to copy it from my Word or my Google Doc, paste it into another app, get a suggestion and then come back. But if it actually works right in Word, I would love to see what that looks like.
Definitely. Here goes. So the most important thing to understand about Draftsmith is that it's very easy to use. It sits right here on the ribbon, right next to PerfectIt, and you can click Launch Draftsmith. And then it will show you all of the options that you can use, the engagement tuner, fluency enhancer. We're going to start with the word count trimmer. And let's take a quick look at its suggestion over here. And that looks to be a really good edit. And it's got 9 words reduced, and it started with 18. That's a 50% reduction just looking at one sentence. So if I like that, I'm going to click Replace Text. And then I'm going to go on and I'm going to look at the next one. And the next one's longer, it's 37 words. And this is a much smaller change this time, but it looks good. It's still getting rid of 6 words. So let's see those changes. And again, that looks really good to me. We could click Replace Text and move on. But hopefully that's a good starting position to understand how easy and how useful Draftsmith is.
Okay. Okay. So you're blowing my mind on like multiple levels right now, Daniel. So first of all, what I'm seeing, which is really cool, is it looks like just like PerfectIt, the Draftsmith feature, once you install it, it's going to live right up there in the Microsoft Word menu system, which that's one of the things I love about PerfectIt. You don't have to go anywhere to use it. It's just one of the tools in the toolbar. Word trimming, that's pretty cool that you have that in there. We actually have to do a lot of that because we work in the proposal space, and most RFPs have a page count. And so often we get content that the author has written a little too much, and one of our jobs is to trim things down to get them into page count. So that is really cool. My only concern about that is I feel like sometimes reducing word count, it can also flatten out the author's voice a little bit.
Yeah. So the first thing about Draftsmith is that you're using it where you want. So you can do, every single sentence, but personally, when I use it, I don't do it that way. I identify first, oh, it would be great to have a suggestion at this point, and I'm choosing it on places where something needs some work or something is long-winded in the case of a word count trimmer. And then absolutely, you're right. Things can go wrong when you're using an AI. One thing it can do with word count trimmer is it can miss important points of nuance. So if it's trying to bring the word count down, it doesn't know that something that seems tangential is actually really important and a part of the story you're trying to tell. The other thing it can do, it can produce absolute garbage. Just completely miss the point entirely. And it always, it's a tool. You have to look out for whether it's making a good suggestion and whether it does truly respect the author's voice.
Yeah. Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. And frankly, what you just described is, that's the way it is with any software tool that you use to provide suggestions, even like the most basic Microsoft Word spell checker, whatever. It may provide a suggestion, and then you want to decide, yes, I want that, or no, I don't, or, oh, I like that, but I'm going to use a slight variation on what the suggestion is.
As with all of those tools, the idea is that when it's right, it's saving you so much time that the other ones you can just sort of disregard. And we think that's really the power of AI in this case. And I think it works really well with plain English. Maybe I could show you that.
Oh my God, please do, because I don't know if you know that I am a huge proponent of plain language. That's like one of our cores at Dragonfly. So yes, bring on the plain language.
Excellent. Here we go. So this is the plain English converter. So just like before, here's the suggested edit. We can take a look at that. Quite a lot of changes this time. But what I want to show you is that's not the only option. We could click simplify. We could click college reading. Of those three, I really think the plain English one was best. So I'm going to click replace text on that one. And then another really important thing to show you is that you don't just sort of have to go through and check every sentence. You can choose which sentences need this sort of attention. When you want a little bit of extra assistance, an extra option, we choose a sentence, and on that sentence, I want to see the plain English option that Draftsmith would give. And that one looks good to me. But again, I could take the simplification, or a suggestion at college reading level, or lots and lots of other suggestions. So look at all the options here that we can have. We can have, second or third grade reading level, 8th grade reading level, high school reading level, lots of other styles for suggestions too. So this is where it gets into tones and things being more empathetic. You can get editing assistance. We've even built in some funny little options there that can do interesting things with the text. But going back to the point, we might choose that instead of college reading, in this case, we want a high school reading level suggestion. In this case, I still really like that original plain English one. So I'm just going to click replace text. And hopefully that gives you an idea of all of the options available, all of the ability to sort of change text and get different suggestions in Draftsmith.
Okay. All right. I saw that one of the options to change the text is to make it go to talk like a pirate day. So I definitely see a future in which all of the corporate communications I edit are going to be changed to talk like a pirate.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that press release next year. We weren't able to release it in time for this one, but bring on the next talk like a pirate.
I'll be looking for that. But seriously, so plain language was one of the options. Simplify was one of the options. What's the difference between those two?
A really good question. So underneath, we're quizzing the AI to have its difference and its understanding of, what is plain English, what is a simplification.
Okay.
When it does college reading, it's the Fleisch-Kincaid level. But again, another huge spoiler alert about AI. When it does its understanding of things, its understanding is not perfect.
Yeah.
So I do find it good on all of those. There are distinctions between what is a simplification, what is plain English, what is targeting different readability levels. But the way I will use it is I tend to just use those as options. What's powerful to me is that I'm stuck on something. I want a suggestion, or I could just go. I don't need to be stuck, right? Stuck can mean I'm going to spend 15 seconds on it. I want a suggestion immediately because it's so much faster. And with that way, I can get 3 suggestions. If I don't like the first, there's immediately another one. So I find that it's a really powerful way to get options, even if they aren't, the perfect representation of our concepts. They're close and they're immediately useful. And it's for the author to think, does this fit?
Well, okay. So what you just described is really interesting because almost like to get ideas, that's a way that I've started using some tools like ChatGPT. For example, we do a lot of work with multi-literate authors, and I might have a sentence come in or even a couple sentences where at first blush, I'm like, I have no idea what this person was trying to say. And so I'll cut and paste that into a ChatGPT or something and say, give it a prompt like explain this or say this in a different word. And when it comes back with something, what it comes back with might not be what I actually use, but sometimes it kind of gives me that aha, like, oh, okay, now I think I know what they were trying to say, based on that response. So that gives me something to work with in terms of starting my edit out.
Exactly. And we've both used that term multiliterate authors now, so I should probably explain what we mean by that. When I describe multiliterate authors, I'm usually describing someone who has more qualifications than I will ever have in my life. They're often experts who understand subjects that I will never ever understand. And when they're writing, they are writing in their second or third language. And I can tell you that I speak one. So when I describe, helping multiliterate authors, I'm not describing it out of respect. It's out of like complete and utter reverence. Because to work with that level of expertise in a second or third language is incredible. And what the software can do is sort of nudge it to sound as if it was their first language. So should I show you that?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Because yes, please do. Because that sounds like that could be applicable for editors and the authors themselves. So yes, show me what that looks like.
Exactly. Here goes. So this is the Fluency Enhancer, and it's specifically designed for multiliterate authors or for editors working with multiliterate authors. And what you can see is it takes these complicated edits and gives you an option for editing those. And one thing we haven't seen yet, if you don't like the option, you can always click refresh, and it will give you another option for the text. And if we look closely at that one, we can show the changes again. I really like those, so I'm just going to click replace text. And then I'll go on to the next one. And if I don't like that, of course, I could click refresh again. But in this case, I really do like it. It's just one little change. And what you can always do is you can always edit it. So I'd probably change that there. And then now I like that change. So I could just click replace text. And what we've tried to do is make that completely seamless integration with Word. So you can have track changes on in Word and it will track your changes. If there's footnotes or formatting in the text, it will warn you and it won't let you overwrite those elements. And hopefully that shows you how sort of Draftsmith can work with these really difficult, challenging edits, give you very quick options, and really help when you're working with multiliterate authors.
Okay, that's super cool. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that it does work with track changes, because that's one of the questions I was going to ask. Like if I choose, yes, I want this replacement, I definitely want that to show in the text. And I also love that you just showed, it looks like even within that little box on the right, you can click show changes and it'll essentially show you a track changes version. So if you want to, before I accept this, I really want to be crystal clear exactly what was done, and I can see that. I do have one big question I want to ask, and it's about, well, actually I have a lot of more questions, but but one big question I want to ask is about security, because we work with, at Dragonfly, we do mainly B2B content. So we work with lots of corporations around the world. If we start using this tool, what can I tell them about like the security so they don't have to be concerned?
We've made it sort of really clear, transparent. This is the diagram that you would normally show to the tech team or the compliance officers. And in this case, the diagram is so simple that I hope, maybe not everyone will understand it, but I can at least talk you through the basics because it is that simple.
Yeah.
First thing to understand is that only the sentence that you select to get suggestions on, only that sentence that's the only bit that will leave your machine. So it's not sending the document anywhere. It's just the sentence you choose, and that goes to the cloud. For the cloud, we have chosen Microsoft Azure's OpenAI service. Absolutely best in class, most reliable, most secure, enterprise-grade security on that. And really importantly, they're not using it to train any models. So none of this is going to OpenAI themselves. That data is safe, and that data is not stored permanently or anything like that. The data is very quickly sort of removed from the server. Can't say it's not stored because technically it's there for a few seconds or whatever. But when you're done with that sentence, when it's giving you the suggestion, it's removed from the server.
Okay. When you said that the data is not saved and it's not sent back out to train AI models, I literally felt like my shoulders relax and my blood pressure go down, because I think that's a huge key, is that if people are using an AI tool, they still want it to be their information and not then just like go out to all these random AIs to train them for the future or whatever. So, okay, so that's really cool to know.
Cool. I'll stop sharing that one then.
Okay. Okay, so quick question about brass tacks, like give us a URL if we want to try this, and is in cost, that is always going to be a concern, especially for freelance editors.
Definitely. So as with PerfectIt, we have we've done our best to make this affordable. So it's got monthly pricing. You can use it for a certain project and then you can stop using it. We recognize it's not for every editing project, but when it comes up, it's just so useful. So if you're purchasing just on a monthly basis, it's $18 per month. If you want to buy it for the full year, it's $120 for the year, which is, quick math, $10 per month. And we've got discounts with lots of the editing associations that we've worked with, CIEP, ACES. We're trying to set them up with Medical Writers Association, Proposer Management Professionals as well. So really designed to be affordable and easy to get through AppSource or the Office Store. The best way to do that, though, is just to get started on our website, which is Draftsmith.ai. And there's a free trial available from there.
Oh, even better. And I got to get a shout out for all my editing peeps. So you said there is also a discount for ACES members?
Yeah, absolutely. We are talking so early on. This is our launch event, so that may not be 100% in place yet, but it is coming with very soon. We're in touch with them to try and get that set up. Okay.
And I have to laugh. You know how they always talk about things are so cheap. So $18. So that's the cost of 3 lattes a month or a burrito and a half from Chipotle. So, all right, we can afford this. Okay.
These days, it's about one trip to the movies. It's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Do you have time for me to ask like a couple more questions?
Definitely.
Okay. I told your PerfectIt peeps that I would do this, but only if I could also ask like any question I wanted and ask the hard questions. So
bring it.
So prepare yourself. Okay. I mean, I think what you showed me alleviates some of my concerns about how this would be used, but I think the big question that editors and writers still want to know is this essentially taking our jobs? Is this a replacement, essentially going to become a replacement for us?
So we looked really carefully, and we thought initially we could design something that was further along in the editing process and help editors with what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, what they do cannot be helped with AI. It's so incredible, and we were sort of watching, through Zoom, editors working. It's so fast, it's so quick, and the bit that's so hard for AI to replicate is that respect for the author's voice. And AI can do what it thinks is style. You can make it sound like a pirate or like Tolkien or like Shakespeare, and it's not really sounding like them. It's doing its impersonation of them.
Yeah.
But what it can't do is respect an author's voice the way editors do. So the tweet I loved on this was from Angus Johnson, who gave ChatGPT the first paragraph of George Orwell's 1984, and said something like, every edit could be justified according to rules, and every edit made that text worse. And it just ended with, I think my copy editing gig is safe. And that's exactly how I feel about it, that there is a thing that editors do that queries the author, that respects the author, that AI is just terrible at. It's not about applying rules, it's about understanding the text and understanding the audience, and the AI doesn't understand.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, Daniel, because that's very much the way I feel, is that there's a human sensibility that we bring to our work, and a level of empathy and wanting the author's voice and their meaning to come across as richly as possible, that I don't think a machine, if you will, can quite replicate. But love the concept of using this to like help me see things that I might not see otherwise.
Awesome.
Okay, so here's my final question. At least I think this is my final question. And it's, I guess, about ethics. So if I'm asking Draftsmith to give me suggestions for something and I adopt one of them, is that ethical? Am I still doing my own work? How do I explain that to a customer, for example?
I mean, I think it's certainly ethical.
Okay.
Essentially, what the app is doing is taking the text that's there and giving an alternative suggestion, a rewrite. That's not the same as producing something completely from scratch. It's looking at paraphrasing something a little differently. So I certainly think that's ethical. In terms of the technicalities, it gets interesting because technically that has to be classified as generative AI. And so if you're doing medical work, JAMA has said that you must declare if you're using generative AI. So we have on our website a version of a declaration that I would recommend with it, which is something like, this does count. There was generative AI used with this. However, it is only used for paraphrasing. It is only Draftsmith, which is an app specifically designed so that it's not creating new content. It doesn't carry those dangers of hallucinations. It's not about to spout off some copyrighted text or something awful like that. So a lot of the sort of ethical issues don't apply. But if ever it's a contractual situation and you need to declare it, we think people should declare it and be honest.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many more questions, but I probably need to actually start just diving into the tool and playing with it a little bit more myself, and then probably I will answer a lot of my own questions that way.
Sounds good. So we do have, as I said, we've got the website up. It's draftsmith.ai. We have a FAQs up there. We have the launch moment. I guess as of now, we will let Google know that this website exists. But I think other people have questions too, and we welcome those. It's support@draftsmith.ai, and we'll be pleased to hear that our support team is not an AI. It is very much real people who can help with all of those questions.
Love it. Love it.
Only remains for me then to say thank you, Sam. Just amazing work you've done helping editors with AI, since before I realized how important it was. So I've appreciated your talks for ACES, and really appreciate you being here for this launch. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really cool to get like a sneak preview of what's coming up. I can't wait to start playing with it.